Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling that something wasn't quite right? The words sounded kind, the smile looked genuine. They congratulated you, encouraged you, and even said they were happy for you. Yet, deep down, something felt different. Their energy shifted the moment you shared good news. Their tone changed ever so slightly. They became distant, colder, or strangely competitive. Most people think jealousy always looks obvious. They imagine angry faces, open insults, or direct confrontation. But real jealousy almost never announces itself. It hides behind politeness, compliments, and fake support. It wears the mask of friendship because revealing itself would expose insecurity. The truth is that some of the people who clap the loudest for you are secretly feast-souping you fail. This isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because your growth reminds them of everything they haven't become. Psychologists have long understood that jealousy is one of the most complex human emotions. Unlike anger or sadness, jealousy is rarely expressed honestly. People don't wake up and admit they're jealous. Instead, their minds protect their ego by disguising those feelings as criticism, indifference, competition, or even concern. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. You don't realize it's happening until the relationship slowly drains your confidence. Today, we're going to uncover 9 psychological signs that someone is secretly jealous of you. These aren't random internet myths or body language tricks. They're patterns of human behavior that appear over and over whenever insecurity collides with another person's success. As you listen, don't rush to judge everyone around you. The goal isn't to become suspicious of every friend or coworker. It's to understand human nature a little better, and maybe recognize why certain relationships have always felt confusing. You might be surprised to discover that jealousy often comes from the people closest to you, sometimes even from those who claim to love you the most. Let's begin. The first sign is that they struggle to genuinely celebrate your success. Think back to the last time something amazing happened in your life. Maybe you earned a promotion, started a successful business, bought your dream car, lost weight, finished a difficult goal, or simply became happier than you've been in years. You probably shared that news with people you cared about. Now ask yourself a simple question. Who looked truly excited, and who looked uncomfortable? Jealous people often know the correct words to say. Congratulations, I'm happy for you. You deserve it. But words are easy. Emotion is much harder to fake. Pay attention to what happens after those first few seconds. Do they immediately change the subject? Do they give a very short response before talking about themselves? Do they seem emotionally flat while everyone else is excited? Sometimes they'll respond with something like, "Well, you're lucky. It must be nice. I wish things worked out like that for me." At first glance, these don't sound negative. But underneath those sentences is a hidden comparison. Your success instantly became a reminder of their own dissatisfaction. Healthy people are inspired by your achievements. Jealous people are threatened by them. Psychologists call this social comparison. Human beings naturally compare themselves to others. The problem begins when another person's success feels like personal failure. Instead of thinking, if they can do it, maybe I can too. A jealous mind thinks, if they succeed, that means I'm falling behind. Notice the difference. One mindset creates motivation, the other creates resentment. That's why secretly jealous people often disappear during your biggest victories. When you're struggling, they're available. When you're winning, they become strangely quiet. Have you ever noticed someone who constantly checked on you during difficult times, suddenly becoming distant after your life improved? That isn't always coincidence. Some relationships are built on feeling superior. As long as you're struggling, they feel safe. The moment you rise above expectations, the emotional balance changes. Now they no longer feel important. Instead of celebrating your progress, they silently mourn the loss of their own imagined superiority. Here's something interesting. People who genuinely love you feel proud when you grow. They don't secretly calculate whether you're becoming better than them. They simply enjoy seeing someone they care about succeed. That's emotional security. Jealousy works differently. It quietly asks, "What about me?" And that single question changes everything. The second sign is that they constantly compare themselves to you. Comparison isn't always obvious. Sometimes it sounds harmless. What salary are you making now? How much did that cost? How many subscribers do you have? How many people liked your post? How often do you travel? None of these questions are automatically bad. It matters. Curiosity is healthy. Obsession is not. A secretly jealous person keeps score. Your accomplishments become numbers to measure against their own life. Instead of appreciating your journey, they're building an invisible scoreboard inside their mind. If you buy something new, they suddenly need something better. If you improve your appearance, they become unusually focused on theirs. If people compliment you, they find a way to redirect attention toward themselves. Competition enters places where competition never existed. The strange part is that you may not even realize you're participating. You're simply living your life. Meanwhile, they're fighting a battle you've never agreed to join. Carl Jung believed that much of human behavior is driven by parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. Jealousy often grows inside those hidden places. Instead of admitting, "I wish I had what you have," the unconscious mind creates another story. They don't deserve it. They just got lucky. They're probably pretending. They're not as successful as people think. These thoughts protect the ego because admitting envy feels painful. Imagine standing beside two trees. One tree grows taller every year. The other refuses to grow. The shorter tree has two choices: reach toward the sunlight or hope the taller tree gets cut down. Jealous people often choose the second option psychologically, not because they're evil, but because growth requires responsibility. Resentment feels easier. This is why conversations with secretly jealous people often become competitions. Whatever you've experienced, they've experienced something bigger. Whatever you've achieved, they've done something better. Whatever problem you have, theirs is always worse. The goal isn't connection. The goal is maintaining equality, or preferably superiority. Real confidence doesn't need comparison. Only insecurity constantly checks who is ahead. The third sign is that they give compliments that don't feel like compliments. This is one of the most common behaviors hidden jealousy creates. It sounds supportive at first, but something feels off. "You actually look really good today. I didn't think you'd pull that off. You've become smarter than I expected. I'm surprised your business is doing so well. You've changed." Notice the pattern. Every compliment secretly contains an insult. Instead of lifting you up, it reminds you of who they believed you used to be. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as a mixed message. One sentence carries two opposite emotional signals. Your conscious mind hears praise. Your subconscious notices disrespect. That's why these compliments leave you feeling confused instead of appreciated. A secure person simply says, "You did an amazing job." A jealous person says, "Wow, I honestly didn't expect that from you." See the difference? The first celebrates your achievement. The second reminds you of their low expectations. This allows them to protect their ego. If they admit you were always capable, they must also admit they underestimated you. And that's uncomfortable. There's another version of this behavior, backhanded humor. They tease your success, they joke about your appearance, they laugh about your goals. Then, if you react, they quickly say, "I'm just kidding." Humor becomes a shield. It allows jealousy to speak while avoiding responsibility, because if you confront them, they can accuse you of being too sensitive. But deep inside, you know something wasn't funny. It felt personal. And usually it was. People rarely joke repeatedly about the things they're emotionally comfortable with. Often, repeated jokes reveal repeated thoughts. The truth is simple. People who respect you don't need to hide criticism inside compliments. They don't need sarcasm to express affection. They don't feel threatened by your progress. Instead, they recognize that another person's light doesn't make their own light dimmer. Unfortunately, Not everyone reaches that level of emotional maturity. Some people would rather reduce your confidence than build their own. And because jealousy rarely speaks honestly, it hides inside smiles, jokes, compliments, and casual conversations. That's what makes it so difficult to recognize. But once you begin noticing these patterns, you'll never hear certain conversations the same way again. And the next signs become even more subtle, because they reveal how jealousy quietly changes behavior over time, often without the jealous person even realizing it. And the next signs become even more subtle because jealousy rarely announces itself. Instead, it slowly changes the way people treat you until one day you realize the relationship no longer feels the same. The fourth sign is that they constantly minimize your achievements. Imagine telling someone you've worked for years to achieve a goal. Instead of celebrating your hard work, they immediately find a way to make it seem ordinary. Anyone could do that. You just got lucky. The timing was perfect. You had help. It isn't that impressive. Notice what's happening psychologically. They aren't attacking you directly. They're attacking the value of your success. If they can convince themselves that your achievement wasn't earned, then they don't have to face the uncomfortable truth that you simply worked harder, stayed more disciplined, or took risks they were afraid to take. Secure people admire effort. Jealous people search for excuses. This behavior becomes a pattern. Every milestone you reach somehow comes with an explanation that removes your credit. Instead of saying, "You earned it," they say, "You were fortunate." But deep inside, they know luck alone doesn't build a meaningful life. Consistency does. The fifth sign is that they secretly enjoy your failures. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because nobody wants to believe a friend could feel relieved when something goes wrong in their life, yet jealousy often creates exactly that response. Have you ever noticed someone becoming unusually talkative after hearing about one of your problems? Suddenly, they're interested again. They call more often, they ask questions, they seem emotionally available. But when things start going well again, that same energy disappears. Why? Because your struggles restore the balance they wanted. When you're succeeding, they feel inferior. When you're struggling, they feel equal again. Psychologists sometimes call this downward comparison. People feel temporarily better by comparing themselves to someone who's facing difficulties. A secretly jealous person may never openly celebrate your failure, but you might notice a slight smile, an unusual calmness, or even subtle comments like, "I knew that would happen. I was wondering when things would slow down." Life has a way of balancing everything. Instead of encouraging you, they normalize your failure because it makes them feel safer. True friends don't become emotionally comfortable when your life falls apart. They help you stand back up. The sixth sign is that they copy you while pretending they don't. This often surprises people. Why would someone who's jealous imitate the person they envy? Because jealousy and admiration are often closely connected. People copy what they secretly wish they had. Maybe they suddenly dress like you, use the same phrases, pursue the same goals, start creating similar content, buy similar things, even make similar life decisions. But instead of admitting they were inspired by you, they pretend it was completely their own idea. Human beings naturally learn from each other, and imitation itself isn't a bad thing. The difference is honesty. Confident people say, "You inspired me." Jealous people copy while refusing to give you credit. Their ego won't allow them to admit they admire the very person they compare themselves to. The seventh sign is that they become strangely competitive over everything. Healthy relationships aren't competitions, they're partnerships. But jealousy quietly transforms ordinary conversations into contests. You buy a new phone, they immediately mention a better one. You lose 10 pounds. They claim they've lost 15. You share a personal achievement. Within seconds, they're telling an even bigger story about themselves. Nothing is allowed to belong to you for very long. The spotlight always has to return to them. At first, you may think they're simply confident. Eventually, you realize every interaction feels like a race. That's because insecure people often confuse another person's success with their own failure. Life becomes a scoreboard. Instead of asking, "How can we both grow?" they unconsciously ask, "Who's winning?" The problem is that nobody wins in relationships built on competition. One person is always exhausted from proving themselves. The other is exhausted from constantly defending their happiness. The eighth sign is that they gossip about you behind your back. Jealousy rarely stays silent forever. Eventually, it searches for an audience. If someone can't become as successful as you, they may try to reduce how successful other people believe you are. They question your motives. They exaggerate your mistakes. They spread half-truths. They hint that you aren't as honest, talented, or hard-working as people think. Notice that gossip fueled by jealousy usually focuses on your character rather than facts. It's designed to make people doubt you. Why? Because destroying a reputation often feels easier than building one. Ironically, people who gossip the most about successful individuals usually spend the least amount of time improving themselves. While you're investing energy into growth, they're investing energy into opinions. Remember this, your reputation should never be built on the approval of people who secretly hope you fail. It should be built on consistent actions. Time exposes truth far better than arguments ever can. The ninth and final sign is that they disappear when your life keeps improving. This is perhaps the clearest sign of all. Some people love the version of you that needed them. They enjoyed giving advice, being stronger, feeling more successful, feeling more important. But once you become confident, independent, and fulfilled, they slowly fade away. Mess becomes shorter. Calls become less frequent. Notifications stop. Not because you changed into a worse person, but because your growth no longer supports the role they wanted to play in your life. This can be painful, especially when you believed the friendship was genuine. But here's an important truth. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay forever. Some people are only comfortable with the version of you that makes them feel secure. When you evolve, they quietly step away because your success forces them to confront their own lack of growth. That doesn't mean you should hate them. It doesn't mean you should seek revenge. It simply means you should accept reality. Jealousy is a human emotion. Nearly everyone experiences it at some point. The difference is what people choose to do with that feeling. Emotionally mature people transform jealousy into inspiration. They ask, "What can I learn from this person?" Emotionally immature people transform jealousy into resentment. They ask, "How can I bring this person down?" That single choice shapes relationships, careers, and entire lives. As you reflect on these 9 signs, remember something equally important. Don't become paranoid. Don't assume everyone is jealous of you. Sometimes people are simply distracted. Sometimes they're having difficult days. Sometimes they communicate differently. The goal isn't to judge others harshly. The goal is to recognize consistent patterns. One strange comment means very little. One awkward conversation proves nothing. But repeated behavior over months or years reveals character. And character is always more important than words. At the same time, ask yourself an uncomfortable question. Have you ever secretly felt jealous of someone else? Most people have. The healthiest response isn't denial. It's awareness. Jealousy becomes dangerous only when it's ignored. When you acknowledge it honestly, it can become motivation instead of bitterness. Another person's success isn't proof that you've failed. It is proof that success is possible. The world isn't running out of opportunities. Someone else's light doesn't make your light any dimmer. In fact, the people who inspire us the most often show us what's possible when courage meets consistency. So surround yourself with people who celebrate your victories without feeling threatened. Become the kind of person who applauds others sincerely. Because the energy you give to the world has a way of returning to you. Choose growth over comparison. Choose admiration over resentment. Choose self-improvement over gossip. And most importantly, never let another person's hidden jealousy convince you to shrink your dreams. Keep improving. Keep learning. Keep Keep moving forward. Because the people who truly belong in your life will never fear your success. They'll celebrate it as if it were their own. If you enjoyed this video and found these psychological insights valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which sign you've experienced the most. Your story might help someone else recognize the same patterns in their own life. Until next time, keep protecting your peace, keep investing in yourself, and remember, the strongest response to jealousy is never revenge. It's becoming the best version of yourself.